ready to speak out, if you're ready to stand up and take action, to defend liberty at all costs, you are the people we're looking for. Welcome to Resistance Radio.
Good evening and welcome back to Resistance Radio. Jim Coyle here with you, taking you up until midnight. And we're going to get right to it because I've got a special guest on the line for me right now, the one and only Shooter Jennings. Shooter, welcome to Resistance Radio.
Hey, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. And I thank you very much for coming on and being a part of the show tonight. I know it was kind of last minute. I just got in touch with John the other day, and everything seemed to work out. So I appreciate it. Thanks for being here.
Man, I appreciate you having me. It's good to be on the air.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, and I saw that you were coming to Phoenix Hill, so I went out and I got my ticket. And then I said, a talk show, this is independent. What I do here is independent, kind of like what your record label is. And I thought, you know what, I'm gonna take a chance. I'm just gonna reach out and give him a call and see if he wants to come on a week before the show, do a little promotion, talk about what's going on, because I really appreciate the music and I think you got a great story to tell.
Thank you, man. I mean, I always try to position myself, I guess, I guess I naturally position myself somewhere on the outside, I guess. I mean, I've learned music on my own way. I didn't like bands that other people liked when I was growing up, so I was kind of always, kind of different in that way. So it's like, as I've gone through the music business, I guess I found it hard to find, I guess, monetary success. But there's been moments of me being lucky. But I think that this year, and as I've gotten older, me and John is my partner in all this, and my best friend, and all, I mean, he's crazy. He's listening right now. We really helped me build this idea. I kind of always had this kind of vanity label and a moniker that I operated under, which was Black Country Rock, but this year we really took it and it made it a reality, and kind of put out these 4 records just this last month, and one on my dad, a live record on my mom, a live record on me from this year, and a project that I did with Jamie Johnson and Twiggy Ramirez from Marilyn Manson's band. Yeah. And we kind of put all that out all at once ourselves on vinyl and on cassette even, and put out this film that we had done on VHS just to be kind of like the new horror movies do. And
see, that's what I love, man. I mean, I'm a kid that grew up in the late 70s, early 80s. I grew up with cassette tapes and VHS tapes and vinyl records. And I've got a 14-year-old son now that's gotten back into collecting vinyl records. So the fact that you're still putting out vinyl and cassettes and VHS, I love it.
Well, I like it too. I mean, because it's like having toys, or collector's things. I mean, like when I was a kid, I remember when I got my G.I. Joes in the back, there was like, you could send in a form and order like the special version of Sergeant Slaughter, or the special version of Cobra Commander. So in a weird way, it's kind of triggering that. I mean, I realize the reality is that like the digital market is where it's at, and that's kind of where my heart has always been anyway. I'm a computer geek, and John and I are both young and both coming from that world, but at the same time, it's, in a way, you're creating these objects, and you're putting them out in the universe that are going to be there forever, hopefully, unless he just throws them away or melts them or whatever, they're going to be out there forever. So it's kind of like, and we're not like the retro thing, which can easily be confused with. It's more like, creating these physical forms and sending them out there. Yeah. But it is funny because John has a Jag that has a cassette player in it. So like every time when we got all the cassettes, we were driving around listening to them. They sound awesome.
Yeah. That's really cool. So was it simply the fact that you were, what was the reason that really triggered the label to come to be? Was it just finding a difficult fit with labels already in existence, or was there something more to it?
No, it's been more like this. It's been more like learning along the way. I mean, because I started by getting signed to Universal, and that was like the dream was like get signed to a major, and then at like right around that time is when the record industry started really changing, and then so I kind of went from independent label to independent label, and I started realizing you start realizing how they function, and really where it only comes from is is having money and then knowing the right people to hire and kind of the right avenues to go. Now, I'm not saying we figured that out, but the thing is it became very apparent, like, if we can print these things, that part's done. And we have a partnership with 30 Tigers to distribute them to stores in March. But, like, so we can, like, if we want to get it to every store, like, we've only been selling it online at this current moment, but it was, like, for a fan thing kind of. But, like, we realized that we can do a deal with a company like 30 Tigers for, like, 20%. They'll distribute everything we do to stores. And so then there's that leg of it. And then the other leg of it is, like, promotion. And it's like, we don't have, you know, a ton of money, but it's like through a partnership with, like, 30 Tigers, somebody else, you can work ways of getting their approval and their money and then spending it on the kind of people you want to promote your records. And then all of a sudden you're a functioning record label. I mean, you know, back in the day, the big record labels were gatekeepers, and you know, you had to be picked by them, and there was no way an independent label could function. But now with the internet, you know, it's very possible. So it's just really been John and I's experience combined, and I guess kind of, you know, it's like the sum of our parts is really strong because we actually get things done. And it's, you know, I think independently, I maybe would have never taken that step. But working with John and working with his ideas, and we're crazy anyway. I mean, we have the nutsiest ideas that no one would ever say yes to. But luckily, like, people like 30 Tigers stuff like that we're nuts. Anyway, but so it's, you know, we kind of just do those things, and we're kind of making it reality. And you realize that once you make something reality, it's all about the perception of reality. And people see something and they talk about it, and they assume we're, like, massive and have millions of dollars behind us and are selling hundreds of thousands of records, you know?
Yeah. Well, let me ask you a question, because that leads me to my next question. You know, you've got about 6 studio albums that have actually out there and released, including the new ones. But you have
6 studio records.
But you've got one that hasn't been released yet. The one that you and your dad did, the Phoenixon. Is there any way that we're going to see that come out on your label now?
Yeah, we're definitely going to put it out next year. That's, excellent. I mean, I'll kind of explain that. There's parts of that are out in kind of a way. And what it is that he and I, when I was like 16, I went and made, like, we were going to do an album together. So I made this record where I did all the music and made it like, it was kind of like industrially, I don't know how to describe it. I mean, it's got like a lot of heavy drums and guitars. And then we went in the studio and he recorded the vocals and I recorded some vocals. Like, we shared duties on it. And so then, like, in 2008, I had taken the songs that he sang and took his vocals off of them and took my band at the time, the 357s, and put them on in the background. So it's much more similar to, like, his style, but it was kind of my country style at the time. So there's, like, a little piece of that was kind of brought out there in the world that way. But this time around, we're talking about releasing the entire thing.
Very cool.
The way it was, and, like, with me singing at 16, which I'm not going to say is very good, but it's, you know, it's a piece of history, and I think it's important that it actually gets out there.
It is. That's very cool. You know, you talked about growing up and not listening to what everybody else was listening to. I had that problem too, except for me, I was listening to Waylon and Willie and Chris, Johnny Cash and Hank Jr. and Johnny Paycheck, and everyone else was listening to Bon Jovi and, you know, Bruce Springsteen and kind of all this rock stuff. So I kind of grew up with a real outlaw country background. And it was funny because everyone was like turning their nose up at country back then, you know? So it's kind of interesting. And
I loved my dad's music when I was a kid, but I hated country. Like, I hated the Garth Brooks thing. I hated what was happening. Like, that at the time, I'd be 13, 14 years old. Like, I was listening to Nine Inch Nails and Ministry, Marilyn Manson, and like all this stuff, or Danzig, or, like, you know, punk rock bands, Cello Biafra, you know, that kind of stuff. I was all into that. But it was also because, like, the kids at school that were, like, the bad ones who smoked in the bathroom and liked to drink when they were, like, I liked those, but they were smart. Like, I liked those kids better, you know? Like, the ones who listen to, like, the music that I listen to now, like a lot of Hank Jr. stuff, those kids, like, would beat me up, you know? And so I would, like, I would like to hang out with the the nerdier, darker trench coat kids, you know. So that's kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So what was it like growing up with your dad and Jesse? I mean, was it really like were Chris and Johnny and all these guys really just like stopping by the house all the time, and were there jam sessions going on? I mean, what was that like growing up in that atmosphere?
They would play music every once in a while. I wouldn't really like jam sessions going on, but they would, yeah, they were around. I mean, like George Jones was around a lot, and he toured with Willie a lot as a kid, and Willie and Cash and all, you know, all their kids and me and everything. We were all close because we were traveling with the Highwaymen and stuff at a young age.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a wild thing. And, you know, it's like this tour I'm doing in Louisville and the surrounding areas that I'm going in all through January is with my dad's old band, really his drummer, Richie Albright, who played with him all the heyday years, and then Jerry Bridges and some other folks who are going to be there. So, like, it's a real special kind of tour that I'm doing because it's going back to all that, you know. But, I mean, you know, as a kid, I was like any other kid except for my parents sang. You know, they would, like, go on tour a lot, and I would go sometimes, you know.
Hey, Shooter, can you do one more short segment with me?
Sure.
All right, we'll be right back after this break with Shooter Jennings, 970 WGTK. Well, welcome back, Resistance Radio. Jim Coyle here with you. And I got special guest Shooter Jennings on the line with me. Shooter, thanks again for taking your time to be with me Sunday night. We appreciate it here at the station.
No problem, man. I'm happy to be on the air.
Yeah. Now, as we were going to break, you were talking about the tour that you're getting ready to kick off in January. You're going to be here at Phoenix Hill Tavern next Saturday night, January 4th. You can get tickets at the Phoenix Hill box office. And I don't know, are there any more of the VIP tickets available, the packages, do you know?
Yeah, there's more of those available, too. And that just, like, ensures, you know, we'll hang out and take some pictures, and you get to drink some Devil John moonshine with us, and kind of like a, you know, a fun little deal where they
like
can definitely get to meet us, because I'm usually in and out of there if that place after a show.
Right, cool. Well, you were talking about you're going to be playing with some of your dad's band, the Waymore Outlaws. How did that actually come to be? What made you decide this was the time to do it, or how'd you all get together and kick this off? Well,
it really, Lloyd Settles should get the credit because he has a thing that he does down in Allegheny called Goose on the Lake. And he put me together with them 2 years in a row, and I had never done it before that. And we had such a good time. It was great. And then a promoter contacted John about booking a tour of doing it, and I said, yeah, that'd be fun, you know. And we just kind of threw it together, and it's come together with a really good response. So it's pretty exciting to think about going out there and doing it, and it's going to be nice to spend time with those guys for sure, and have a good time, you know, on the road with them and all that. I mean, I'm looking forward to it as an experience in itself, you know.
Yeah, very cool. And at what time in your age did you decide, you know, I'm going to pick up guitar and I'm going to get into music? And was the guitar the first thing you went for, or was there a process of going through instruments and music, a development stage? How did it come about for you?
I played drums when I was really young. I was really into that, and I picked that up at a really young age. Like by 5, I was kind of banging on and putting a lot of attention into it. And then by 8 or 9, I was pretty serious about it. And then I started playing piano. I had kind of fiddled around with it, but my parents wanted me to take some kind of an extra curricular thing, and I started taking piano, which I hated taking lessons. But after that, I kind of stuck to it and kind of private because they just related to each other really simply, like piano and guitar. Piano and drums are both kind of, you know, you hit this thing to make that sound kind of thing, and very like percussive, as why piano is a percussive instrument. And then guitar came about out of necessity later because I was already, when I was at 13, I'd started recording on my computer a lot of things, and I was having to bring in people to play guitar, and I was like, man, how hard can it be? And it turned out to be very hard, much harder than piano. I mean, to me, like, just because there's on the piano, you want to hit middle C, you hit middle C, and on a guitar, there's like 5 different positions. You can hit the same note, and you have to kind of think that way. And it's like, I've never quite gotten over that. I love playing the guitar, but it baffles me in that way. And it's kind of like piano and drums are I'm in control of those instruments, I feel like. So So in that way, like, I always kind of stick to those. But,
gotcha.
but you know, and then I was, by that time, by about 13 or 14, I kind of hooked on music. And even though I had a lot of other hobbies and things, like, I was really just never looked back after that. I kind of always knew I was going to do this. And I always thought, hey, I can do this. And I knew I just felt that I could be successful enough to have somewhat of a career, and boy was I wrong. But you know, it kind of, I just kind of took over, and I never kind of looked back, and I've never been able to escape it. But it's never been something that, like, music to me never was something that I could really quit. There are days when I'm like, God, how much more of this crap can I take, you know, or you know, disappointment or upsets or whatever. But really, you know, there's a lot of things that I've taken on in my life that I've been able to walk away from, at least for periods of time, and music just never have. It just, because I'll be somewhere and I'll be completely dried up, and I'll hear something by someone else, or I'll think I'll hear something, or I'll like tune into a song and hear it backwards. Like, you know what, like when you tune into a song on the wrong beat, downbeat, and you kind of don't know what it is from it until it reverses. Like, I'll hear something like that and be like, that sounds awesome, and realize it's like, you know, hooked on a feeling or something, but I was just hearing it in the wrong spot. You know? But something like that will, like, give me an idea, and I'll just run, or you know, I'll just see a situation and think of a song or whatever. It just kind of always worked that way. So I just kind of never questioned it and ran with it.
Yeah, I dabbled in music a little bit, but I knew that I didn't have the natural talent to really make it music, but I love music, so I did the next best thing. I went into radio.
I love that. I have a radio show that I do, but I really want to do a talk radio show. Like, I've had like this. I've been a radio DJ on Sirius for 8 years, but I love playing music that I do, but I really want to get into like a long form talk radio, take calls. I talk to John about this all the time. Like, I've like tried to get jobs doing it, and now I think we're just gonna do it and try and get syndication from it.
That's the way to go. Yeah,
we're kind of looking at it like that, and we were just talking about it tonight. So it's like, I really want to get into that, because that is another thing I love. I mean, I listened to Art Bell and like since I was a little kid, and like it goes hand in hand with the musical. It's like theater, you know. It's like you can, you know, of course, like William Cooper and all that, you know.
Well, it's funny because the first job I got was in New Jersey. I'm originally from up in the Delaware Valley, South Jersey, Philadelphia area. And the first radio job I had was New Jersey Country, WNJC, 1360 on your radio. And we played vinyl. It was a mom and pop place, and I got to bring my own music in. So it was Blackjack, Coyle, and the Outlaw Hours. And I would just play outlaw country all the time. And
that's awesome.
It was a lot of fun for about 6 months until mom and pop got bought out. And, you know, I got into working with a couple different communication companies down here in Louisville, did a lot of rock radio, never got back into the country again. And then, you know, as the radio's formats change and the business changes, I didn't want to chase it in another market. And so that's when I decided to develop a talk radio show. Because it is a love of mine as well. And like you said, the hand in hand of radio and music, whether you're playing format music or whether you're doing talk radio, there's still that integration of music into it. And it's a lot of fun. And hey, I'll tell you right now, anytime the mic is open to you, anytime you want to come join me here, it's there for you.
I appreciate that very much. And being paged by my little 2-year-old son is like screaming at me right now. So
well, actually, did I not see? I was looking on here. Does he have a nickname as well?
He's Blackjack.
Yeah, I saw that. I think that's pretty cool.
He rules. He's the king of the roost. He's just like, at all times in charge.
Well, having sons of my own, I understand that Call of Duty. And Shooter, on that note, I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna ask everybody to come out and join us next Saturday, Phoenix Hill.
Yeah.
January 4th. It's gonna be a great show.
It's gonna be awesome, and I can't wait. And I appreciate you giving me the time. I apologize for having to go, but I think it'll be cool. Come on down and we'll hang out, man.
All right, sounds good. I will see you there, Shooter.
All right, brother.
Appreciate
Thank you.
it. Have a good night.
You too. Bye.
See ya.